Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching. What's going on, freaks? Oh, there's Penny and Clancy running around, doing whatever they do. Always battling away. Pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Alright, well, what's going on, everybody? Got my long-awaited haircut today. It was just driving me nuts. I think it was like 2 months or something. It was wild. But finally got it. But yeah, tonight on Defense Diaries, you know, Bob Mata, you know, the defense attorney. Here's the thing, everybody. Defense attorneys are sort of their own little special breed of people who, you know, they look for ways to get clients off. You know, tonight when Jennifer Auger was asked, do you think he's factually innocent? She said, well, I don't, it's against my ethics to answer that. Or well, that means you were going to say no. Okay. Because if you actually thought that he was factually innocent, you would just say that and there's no problem. But you'd be lying if you answered that question. So that maybe that's against your ethics. What was one of the other things they said was something about, I mean, I don't know. I was watching it for a couple hours, and there's just so many things that I completely disagree with, and it's the same stuff that we've been talking about for a long time. It's pretty crazy, though. So anyways, I thought we'd go over some of that tonight, and perhaps do a, you know, people can call in or come on to the and it's weird because when you go over there, all of the lunatic fringe true crime Delphi people are all in there just salivating. I showed up for 2 minutes and made a couple good points and got timed out. That's it, man. I get timed out because I think Richard Allen is 100% the guy. Now, I felt bad for her because she started to cry at one point and said, you know, we tried our best, you know, and we were trying to prove reasonable doubt and then we failed. And you know why you failed? And it's not because you didn't try hard. It's because there is no reasonable doubt in the case at all. Zero. And that's why Richard Allen was convicted. Now, I'm always wondering where all the people went that kept saying to me over and over and over again when I do my shows, they'd say, Gray, he's innocent until proven guilty. And I'd say, yeah, but I have the right to say that I believe he's guilty, right? Just like you probably did in the Casey Anthony case or O.J. Simpson, right? That's a good point. That's a good point. All right. But the thing is there is zero reasonable doubt in the case. That's the thing. And he was found guilty, right? So how come these people didn't change their opinion after that? He's innocent until proven guilty. He was proven guilty, and it was 12-0, and he lost. Now these same people are saying, "Oh, it was rigged. It was rigged." See, these are the people you got to look out for. They're the ones that they can't. Now, here's what I will say, though. I mean, I guess I would be sort of similar, I guess, in some ways, because if he had been found not guilty, I would have just told you this case will never be investigated again. And I've said that many times. It'll never be investigated again because the person who committed the murders is right there. That's Richard Allen. He is the person. So if he's found not guilty, there will be no more investigations into the case at all. Zero. Now, the true crime YouTubers who want to, keep having the story moving forward, they would pretend that they were investigating people for years and years and years because they know who the real killer is. And the thing is, we all know who the real killer is, and that is Richard Allen. He killed them. And I think Auger was being very sort of, irresponsible in some of her comments that she was making in the interview. I mean, absolutely disgusting comments, trying to insinuate. I mean, she was literally insinuating that Kelsey twice brought up Kelsey. Like, oh, Kelsey, she's the one that put out the image of Abby. Oh, and Kelsey, when Rayleigh Voorhees was leaving the stand, they kind of looked at each other. Oh my God. I mean, how sick is that? And then later on, what she said? She actually made another comment where she said, we feel like we have a target on our back, and who's going to investigate for that? Well, you put a target on Kelsey's back along with the rest of your lunatic, fringe, YouTuber, wacko friends all the time, okay? Kelsey has nothing to do with anything. You guys are just sick people. And to have an attorney twice sort of insinuate, oh, well, Kelsey's the one that put out the image of Abby on the bridge, and we don't know where that image came from. It's really weird. It just sort of showed up. All right. So, hey, you guys, on the show, if you want to support the channel, we got the coffees, we got the super chats, we got whatever it is. But I would appreciate it if you can. If you can't, then you can't. It just is what it is, Actually, about 5 miles away from her office. Yeah, so what? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, right? So let's see. Damn it, I just got something in my eye. Ugh. Let's see. So then, but of course, this is what happened in there. They were talking about, Jennifer Auger said the significance of the white van, it's being on social media prior. And so she was kind of like, wow, we should have used more social media. We should have used social media more. We could have found out that a van was mentioned. Now, Richard Allen never mentioned a white van. Okay, he never said that. He just said a van. All right, it just so happens a white van is, and what I heard was that a white van drove by, but that's not what Richard Allen ever said. And then of course in the comment they go, "Hey Gray, when his doctor, when did she tell you the information?" And that just never happened. Okay, and she never told anybody anything that had anything to do with where I got the information from. It was just some other YouTuber told me, and I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Let's see if it comes to fruition. And there it was at the trial. And it was told to me a year after the confession was made itself. And the confession was that he told a psychologist. So how would that be used? How would my knowledge of a white van be used in the confession? And why would Richard Allen listen to me? That's what's so funny about this whole thing is, so white van, right? Like there's a van in the case. So why would Richard Allen go, hey, can you ask that Gray guy? Was there any talk about a van? Maybe I can add that into my story when I talk about it. These people don't have brains, Their brains are malfunctioned 99% of the time. It's pretty scary stuff. Right, there's rumors. People have rumors out there. They just have rumors. People tell rumors to people. You hear things. If you're in the true crime community, you hear things, and sometimes they don't turn out to be true, and sometimes they do. it turns out that when I was told, I think it was in March, that, hey, the psychologist was told that he mentions a white van and it made him nervous, and he took the girls across the creek, something like that, right? But that was a year after. But you always see these people put in the comment section like, oh, when did she tell you? When did she tell you? It's weird. Weird stuff, really. It's almost mind-boggling. How do you explain the Richard Allen? I don't know what that means. I mean, click sociologically. What's the real burr under the blanket? I don't know what that means. You mean, what's the reason why they're like that? I don't know. I think it's just sort of something to fight for. Somebody, sort of believed in one of these defense attorneys, and, oh, look at this. And what happened is when the, and that's why Mata gets so excited about it. It's just the greatest document in the world, the Odin document. It's so amazing because for the first time, a defense attorney put out their theory because the prosecution gets to put it out in their probable cause, and so they put out their theory. And it worked, really. I mean, it worked to create a bunch of, and there's a lot of people out there that actually believed that stuff, believed in it and thought it was real. And it's, a couple investigators looked into stuff, and some of the stuff is real, like it's really these guys, and maybe they were into Odinism and stuff like that, but they were never at the crime scene, none of them. And the defense had ample opportunity to show that they were at the crime scene. They did their own investigations and everything, and they couldn't do anything. So there was that 3-day hearing, remember that, about a month or so before the trial, maybe a couple months. And that's where they were supposed to come forward and start giving the nexus between the Odinist people being at the crime scene, And they never could do it. They couldn't do it. That's why it wasn't at trial, because you can't just start making up stuff. Well, we think aliens did it. Well, how can you say we saw light in the skies. Well, that's ridiculous. And you start bringing in UFO experts and all these people to try to make the jury go, that sounds... Hey, let's bring in the Norse rune expert. That wasn't compelling at all, Gina. Yeah. I mean, see, that's the thing that's what's scary to me, is that people actually thought it was compelling. There was nothing compelling. Once you started reading the one single solitary man acting alone, I mean, there was elements in there like Betsy Blair and Sarah Carbaugh's comments, but other than that, it was just such garbage. It was just an attempt to get around the gag order and put out information that really shouldn't be out there. But, I mean, what was compelling to you about it? I guess I could ask you. How about that? I'll ask you, what was compelling, Gina, about it? Just some of the information that we hadn't heard yet, about Abby maybe being alive longer. Yeah. And I'm probably going to interview Becky here in not too long from now. And so then what else do we have up here? We've got... we will never know what Dr. Walla actually said to Rick Allen. It wasn't recorded, and her notes were shredded. Okay, guess what, everybody? They don't record those interviews. Like, she didn't record anybody's interview. And in the psychological, when you're interviewing somebody like that. But after she's done, she writes the notes down she's writing down on a pad, right? And then she shredded that up, but then it had transferred it already to her system. How come that's not good enough for people? Are you supposed to go back in time and, say, well, she should have recorded? Well, they don't record that. It's a psychological, it's sort of a HIPAA situation, right? Like it's literally like a doctor talking to, you know, she takes notes and those are kept. Maybe they should start recording, you know, so people could have watched Richard Allen's face. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake, and also up there to K-Me. She said, I worked the corner. Not sure. Oh, yeah. That's all you got? You worked the corner for $2? Man, that's not good. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then then they talked about the IMEI number doesn't show up. Then Richard Allen, you know, so here's the thing. The IMEI number that Dan Doolin got from Richard Allen's phone didn't show up on their, you know, in the cell phone data dump that they had. Well then, how come they didn't ask Jennifer Auger, hey, doesn't that mean though he lied when he told Dan Doolin that he was looking at his stock tickers because he would have had to use his cell phone? And then she'd say, well, how do we know that's what he told Dan Doolin? You know, that's just what Dan Doolin's saying. You see, that's how their mind works. You know, it's not like everybody on the prosecution side is a liar, therefore our client is innocent. That's how they try to frame every conversation. Yeah. Pretty sick shit, really. Let me see. Maybe I'll put it on that one. And so the thing is he didn't, you know, his phone didn't ping there. That's because he didn't have his phone, right? And if he did have it, they've never been able to find the phone, even though his house was filled with about 1,000 digital devices. You know, like, not 1,000, but, you know, it was filled with digital devices, right? And so, why weren't they able to find his phone? Okay, because he got rid of the damn thing. Now, I'd like to know, well, it's sort of interesting because doesn't it feel like sometimes that they were searching the Wabash River for a phone? You know, that's what it always seemed like, that they were maybe looking for a phone in the Wabash River or a weapon or something like that. But then you'd have to then make the connection between Keegan Kline and Richard Allen, and then, you know, but there isn't any known connection at this point. All right, then we've got the, let's see. Oh yeah, so Bob Motta, man, I don't know what the hell, how his brain was working, but they were talking about looking at the video and the stabilized one. Man, were they getting stuff off the back camera and the front camera at the same time? I mean, what were they doing? You know what? I've stabilized video on here live with you guys before. You know, I mean, I could stabilize the hell out of the original video, and I know how to do it. And sometimes you have to do it frame by frame, just like I did in the Trump assassination body camera footage. You know, you take each frame and you keep it, you know, because a lot of times things are moving around, right? So you just take a point and you keep it there and you slide over the next frame to match up, slide over the next frame, slide over the next frame, slide it over, and you just keep everything stabilized, even if you have to do it manually. Let's see. Yeah, but he just had this weird perception over it, like almost like he's never seen a video before. He said he watched the first one and it was like, I couldn't even see the bridge guy. You know, I didn't even know what I was looking at. And then the second one, there he is. And then I was thinking, wow, did they use the back and the front of the camera at the same time? And were they doing this? And it's just, no, they weren't. Let's see. And then we've got, Oh yeah. Then they started talking about the image of Abby on the bridge and how it wasn't in the cache. You know, it wasn't in the cache of Snapchat. You know, like, oh my God, it wasn't in there, but the other images were. You know, so why wasn't that one in there? And they just made such a big deal out of it. But the truth is, let me see if this is it right here. Right, okay, so I looked it up, and here it is. Look at it. A Snapchat image might not appear in the cache because it was never saved there in the first place. Okay, well, so yeah, maybe she took a picture, either due to the image being deleted before it could be cached, the user having a setting to limit caching, or because the image was originally viewed as a live snap that is designed to disappear immediately after being viewed. Doesn't that sound like that's probably what that was? Like, hey, look at this, I'm on the bridge, woo! And then it, you know, it doesn't stay in your cache, right? Designed to disappear immediately after being viewed, meaning it doesn't get stored in the cache at all. I mean, look at it. Doesn't that just sound absolutely like that's the answer, for God's sakes? Snapchat is designed to for temporary viewing, so most snaps are not automatically saved to the cache. And look at that. Boom, right? And are deleted from the server after being viewed by the recipient. So somebody saw it, boom, it's gone. I don't know why it's so simple, you guys. This is crazy. The cache stores temporary data like images and videos to load them faster when you view them again, but this doesn't mean every snap you see will be saved in cache. Now let's see. And by the way, if you guys could support the channel tonight, I'd appreciate it. We are currently basically at zero. So if you can do the buy me a coffees, etc. I don't know how else to explain it, but this channel relies on you guys. And some people go, oh, Gray, he's grifting. No, I'm trying to make an income on my channel so that I can survive doing the show and also be able to give at the end of each month. All right? Like yesterday was one of our worst days in months. So if we could have a better day today, that'd be great, but we haven't started off that way. All right, let's see. So that's what I got from that. It says, a Snapchat image might not appear in the cache because it was never saved there in the first place. Now right here, why Snapchat image might not appear in the cache? Deleted before caching. If you, what is that? Oh, it's my wife. All right. The photo that you are viewing would not be saved. Right, well, you viewed it. And it says live view mode. When viewing a snap in live mode, the image is streamed directly and not stored in the cache. Snapchat might automatically delete older cache data if your cache reaches a certain size. So, I mean, there's so many reasons, you guys. Like, there's a whole bunch of reasons that image wasn't sitting there. I don't know, actually, and then it's a little bothersome that the prosecution witness didn't even know what the answer was. You know, didn't have any idea. Oh, the thing on the screen? I don't know how to... Was it this one? Let's see. Oh, right there. There you go. How about that? Right there. There's the coffee thing you can scan in. Oh, but there's also in the chat, you can just click on one of those. Thank you, Quizzical Girl and Michelle Wood. Yeah, so I thought it kind of sucked too, though, that the defense, the prosecution was like, we don't know how that image wasn't there. Well, what do you, okay, but you could have all these explanations. They're just sitting right there. That's simple to say, right? It's not, you know, you could just say, well, we know from research, you could just figure out, like, where this comes from, the information. But that's the answer. A Snapchat image might not appear in the cache because it was never saved there in the first place, either due to the image being deleted before it could be cached, the user having a setting to limit caching, or because the image was originally viewed as a live snap that is designed to disappear immediately after being viewed, meaning it doesn't get stored in the cache at all. I mean, could you be more clear? Hey, thanks so much, Vicky White. Let's see. What else we got? There's a whole bunch of crap. It's just, I'm sure they're probably still yapping away over there. Someone else logged in and took a pic. Oh, yeah. So here's what Bob Mata's answer was. There must have been somebody else on that bridge that's not Libby, and then took that picture and then uploaded it to the web somehow. Where did you come up with this stuff? And the sad part is inside the chat, well, hell, even a couple of the trolls that I have were like, yeah, how do you explain that, Bob? But they don't ever do it where they're really forceful about it. Like, hey, you guys, this doesn't make sense. Thanks, Gina and Richard Watts and Vicky White. I mean, if I was asking questions, I go, Bob, what do you mean, man? What are you talking about? What do you mean somebody else logged in and then took a picture? How does that make any sense? What does that even mean? It's just... Yeah, there's no way in hell that somebody like Auger would come on my show, okay? Nor would any of the defense attorneys. They wouldn't be able to do it. Because I would just question him on everything. Every single element. And guess what? Being on the side that we're on, every single explanation that we have is more, it makes more sense than what they say. So they do like, well, there's a chance, right? Right, you guys, there's a chance. So, and then they want everybody to jump on that. And it's like, no, there almost really isn't a chance of what you're saying. I got to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's on YouTube, okay? I've been doing YouTube. That's what I do. That's my realm. But if you were like an attorney and you were really good, wouldn't you still be being an attorney? I don't really get it. So you're telling me there's a chance. Right, that's from Dumb and Dumber. So someone else logged in. Okay, and then also, listen to this. So Auger gets up there and says, Riley Voorhees is friends with Kelsey German. They shared a look when Rayleigh left the stand. She looked over at Kelsey and she nodded. Don't you find that to be disgusting? I mean, you're out there and you're helping to propagate the rumor bullcrap on Kelsey over and over and over again, like she's some grand master sitting, the wizard behind the scenes, calling all the shots in the case. Come on. Well, good. Good for him. Boy, what happened to him, Gina? What happened to him? Let's see. Got to put some of these applied to it. One ply. Look at that one, huh? Yeah. I think these answers could be answered quickly by someone who works for Snapchat. Well, I just gave you the answer right there because that is from Snapchat. Yeah, I don't know why. I agree with that litigation examiner. I don't understand why the prosecution also didn't just have the answers. And they had to go and, even looking up stuff on breaks, So check these things out coming up here. So Riley Voorhees is friends with Kelsey German. They shared a look when Rayleigh left the stand. She looked over at Kelsey and nodded. And it says the prosecution didn't have any witnesses point to Richard Allen. And you know why they didn't do that, you guys? Because Richard Allen had a hoodie on and some sort of a face covering when he passed the 4 girls. And he walks to the bridge, and so they don't know what his face looked like. They just know this, that the person they saw is the same person that was in Libby's video. Okay? So isn't that enough? So the person they saw was a person in Libby's video. Even though their descriptions were slightly different. Now, these people go, they didn't even describe Richard Allen. Well, they were, what do you call it, consistent with. And one of them, said like he might have been a little taller than they remember, etc. But people do not remember things when they're not supposed to remember. They're just asked later, hey, what did that person look like? They're notoriously incorrect. And that's why things like sketches, they're just used as a tool or an aid of somebody possibly looking like this. But they aren't, you don't use them at trial because they're not evidence. This is just a tool they're using to try to find somebody that might look something like this. Yeah, we've gone over it all a million times. Richard Allen's vehicle passes the Hoosier Harvest Store at 1:27. His vehicle. And then he said he parked at an old building. And the only old building over there is the abandoned CPS building. I guess apparently he even pointed to that on a map when he was in interrogation. So the abandoned CPS building. And then he walks to the Freedom Bridge. And that's about a 5-minute walk, 4-minute walk, something like that. So let's say he gets over there at 1:32. So just as he's going onto the trail, he passes 3 girls. Those 3 girls saw him, and there's 4 girls, but those 3 of the girls are witnesses because they were older. One was really young. They saw him, and he saw them. He admits to it. And then he said he went right to the Monenhigh Bridge, and that's an 11-minute walk, and that would put him there at 1:43. And he said he went there to look at fish, and also he said when he was walking down the trail, he told Dan Doolin that he was looking at his stock ticker. So when he got to the bridge, he said he was looking at fish. Now, when you walk that far to go look at fish, how long do you spend trying to look for fish? 1 second? And then if it was 1 second, he'd have to turn around and jog back to pass Betsy Blair, who had just pulled in at 1:47. Because remember, I just told you, he was over at the bridge at 1:43. 1:43, 1:44, something like that, right? It takes 6 minutes to walk quickly to get to the trail where you parked the car. Right? So Betsy Blair gets there, and at 1:48, she's already walking down the trail. She didn't see him. However, when she got to the bridge, she sees Richard Allen standing there, exactly where Richard Allen himself told police he was standing, on platform 1, and Betsy Blair also said the person she saw is the same person in Libby's video. Her memory of brown hair and so forth. She was 111 feet away from Richard Allen, not 50 feet like she said. She said she turned around at the barricades. I measured it. It's 111 feet to the first platform, and that's where Richard Allen was standing. So her view wasn't anywhere near as if it would be standing at the start of the bridge, nor is it going to be accurate. She wasn't told to remember anything. Then, when Betsy Blair sees Richard Allen standing on platform 1, exactly where he said he was standing, she turns around and walks back, and then she passes Abby and Libby about halfway back to the parking spot. And then Abby and Libby, therefore, have to run into Richard Allen directly after that. And then Betsy Blair continued to walk down the trail. She did not go down the 505 trail, she said. She just, on this loop, she just went to the Freedom Bridge and back. And I guess she did say, on her other loop, she would go like halfway down. But on the way back, she did not go down that trail. She went all the way to the Freedom Bridge and back and did not see Richard Allen, bridge guy, right? Didn't see him. So, and that all the way back to her parking spot. So that means Richard Allen, 15 minutes later, still hasn't left the area of the bridge, and he's never seen by another soul, unless you believe Sarah Carbaugh saw him. Sarah Carbaugh's testimony doesn't do anything, doesn't hurt the case or help it that much, to be honest with you. The killer got back to their vehicle, Richard Allen, somehow. And then Richard Allen himself later on actually tells confesses, saying that, yes, he was over near his parents' house, or visiting his mom, I guess is what it was. Let me see if I can get in Mexico, Indiana, right here, very close, by the way, to Keegan Klein's residence. And they wanted to go have lunch, and he said, I don't want to have to go lunch. So he bolted home, man, like a bat out of hell. He gets home, all the way to here, and when he gets here, he puts on a jacket, etc. Then he leaves the house and heads right over to the Monon High Bridge. So I think what he did was he drove this way, boom, like that. And then he took a left on North 450 West, and then west on West 300 North, and then over the Wilson Bridge and around, past the cemetery, Logan's property, the cemetery, then right here by the Mears property, drives by here, then goes by here at 130 or 127, and then pulls into the abandoned CPS building location. But he said when he saw the girls, he laid in wait. He followed the girls across the bridge. And then he pulled out a gun. He said he ejected a bullet or something. Then he had him go down the hill. And he was going to assault them down below there. And then he saw a van drive by. He panicked. He had the girls cross the creek. And then he killed them. And he made sure that they didn't suffer. And he killed them because he was being selfish. And he went on to live his life. And that's exactly what he did. All right. All right, guys, we kind of stalled out again. We're currently at 1/10 of a goal. So if you guys have the ability to help support the channel tonight, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. I can't just make up, like, hey, everybody, don't worry about tonight. I have this invisible money coming in. You guys are it. I don't have any other means. So I'm getting sort of nervous lately. All right, then we got the prosecution didn't have any witness point to Richard Allen. Right, that's because nobody knew exactly what his face looked like. Richard Allen is the one who placed himself there. Why didn't any of them see Richard Allen? All right, so then you could also turn it around on him, what Fig Solve was saying, is you could say, well, how come none of those witnesses saw Richard Allen? The guy that works over at CVS Pharmacy, or, just Richard Allen himself. The reason they didn't see him because he had himself disguised, right? But he was there. He admits to seeing those same three girls. So since he admits to seeing them, why do you need to have one of them identify him? Hey, thanks, Allie Cake. You guys see what I'm saying? So if those three girls say, hey, yep, we saw him, and he admits to seeing them, why do you need to have one of them point out to him? You don't need to. That's because they've already agreed that they saw each other. Thank you, Allie Cake. Yeah, it's just the way it is, Gina. Well, it's probably, I don't know if the show's still going on or not. YouTube doesn't, I don't know what the deal is right now. They haven't been putting my channels and my videos or anything anywhere where anybody can see them. at all, so it's just really been a struggle. And I don't always cover the big cases, so then I get thrown out of the algorithm. Well, some of them, yeah, he said Peru. That is kind of interesting. If he said that, I don't know if he actually said that or. Now that's what we were told that he said. I went to my mother's house in Peru. You know, he said it out loud. I want to know if that was just like somebody's interpretation. Like maybe he said my parents' house in near Peru, or whatever he might have worded. I don't know. Hey, thanks, Quizzical girl. She said, let's see. You're very logical, Gray. I appreciate your work. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I wish more people appreciated this type of work. Then I wouldn't have to care on a nightly basis. If I had like, 1,000 people watching or something like that, I'd probably have enough people watching where it just wouldn't matter. But it's just been crazy lately, and I don't have any. I mean, I guess there's 2 more nights, so they're going to be interviewing Rosie, and then also Baldwin, and 2 more nights in a row. So you might want to go check it out or whatever, but I'm definitely going to check it out, and we'll have to be covering it over here. All right, because I want to. I just think it's amazing how so many people are believing what a defense attorney is trying to sell, especially when it's just like it's not more reasonable what they're trying to tell you. Now, I understand, like, oh yeah, the prosecution, they're not always telling the truth. That's why we have false convictions out there, etc., right? We know that exists, but this isn't one of those cases. Okay? It isn't one. Thank you for pause 007. Let's see. And then it said, Rick Allen, and this is what Auger said. Here, listen to this one. Yeah, but we don't know if that's actually what the wording was. That's what the transcribing, Zozo, is what I'm trying to tell you. Somebody said that that's what he said, but we haven't heard him say what the actual wording is. Right. That's what somebody said. We don't know if he actually told authorities that. That was in trial, and that's what somebody's interpretation of what was said was written. So, I mean, he could have said that for sure. Yeah. He was the only man on the bridge. I know. And he's the only person anybody saw at all. Here, I'm going to open up my animation again, so I'll have to show that later. But yeah, I want it to be that, Zozo. If it's Peru, then it's like, okay, because that's where Keegan Kline lives. So if I ever get an opportunity to interview some specific people, I'm going to ask certain questions related to that. Yeah, he didn't see Betsy Blair or the girls. And he didn't see Betsy Blair because she's the girl. I don't know why he cares that Betsy Blair saw him or not. Because he already places himself on the bridge. I guess maybe the timing portion would hurt him if he agreed with that. But I don't know how he knew about that before. Thank you, Ducky. And look at that. 3 months already. All right. Very cool. One thing about Benny, the new Chihuahua's bark is so high-pitched. It's just, man. If you could just be sitting there quietly and all of a sudden he barks and you jump like 19 feet off the ground. Yep, we still only got the one coffee. All right, so this is what Jennifer Auger said. Listen to this. Rick Allen is maybe 5 feet 6 inches and dragging a body around and lifting a body and dressing a body and all these things he would have to do. So much chaos and physicality. Hard to believe it was one person. Yeah, no, it's not at all. Jennifer, man, as a matter of fact, if you deployed even the smallest amount of logic, you'd be able to know the answer to the question. You see, because Richard Allen had a gun, and he forced the girls down the hill at gunpoint. And then I would imagine at one point he forced the girls to undress at gunpoint. And then at the end, he forced or allowed Abby to dress herself again, and then she was killed. Okay, so there's no struggle. The only part that's a struggle is that he moved Libby's body 10, 12 feet, something like that. I don't know the exact number. That's it. It's not complicated. But if you take that out and you want to pretend that somehow Abby had to be redressed by the killer, then wow, you can make it sound so complex. And now you sort of think, well, is she the one then that did the whole one single solitary man thing? Is she the one behind that? Jeez. Scary. And you don't even need to use the word adrenaline, Stephanie. I just explained it to you. You don't need adrenaline to do anything that I just told you. You just can drag the body, 10 feet, and that's all the motion he had to do. Other than that, he had them at gunpoint doing what he wanted them to do. Right. She said, don't leave me up here, because Libby was already off the end of the bridge and would have had time to run, just like Mike said in one of his interviews. But she stayed there, and Abby said, don't leave me up here, because she was slowly walking across, and Richard Allen was making up ground really quickly. Oh yeah, Gina? Yeah, I got timed out for literally nothing in there this time. I literally just said normal things like, hey, the contradictory voice, because Richard Allen was found guilty, you guys. He did it. He is the killer. All right. Let's see. And let's see. Yeah, so she said, hard to believe this was by one person. And then they started talking about the sticks. She said, oh man, those sticks only covered like 5% of the bodies. And the thing is so my opinion is that the person was Richard Allen was putting sticks on the bodies, and then got interrupted again, because right around about that time, that's when Cheyenne and those people would be on the bridge. And then I think he just took off. He was trying to build like a, put one branch on this one, a branch on that one, a branch on this one, a branch on that one, and then he got interrupted and he left. And if it's not, who cares? And if it's not and if it was intentionally done, then Richard Allen himself is part of the Odinist cult. So that's what I think it's weird, is that, what we're going to have to wait for, I guess, is that Richard Allen, if there's anybody else involved, is going to have to say, okay, well, these other people did it too. Because he was there, you guys. He's the one that forced the girls down the hill with the gun. He's responsible for, at minimum, the kidnapping. Okay? However, if you just use logic and common sense, knowing that there's no evidence at all that there is another person there, then Richard Allen himself is the person who is responsible for also killing the girls. I don't understand, man. I don't know why they don't ask. They don't really go over the timeline too much up there, because it's too damning to do. Yeah, I don't know how he would know, Stephanie. All right, you guys, we're currently at 8%. Not 8%. 1/8. Again, the body type and demeanor of BG matches Richard Allen. Yeah, I've shown all the pictures. I don't know if there's any more I can do in the Richard Allen case to show that it's him. You know, I've done the side by side where him standing there. He has the exact same body proportions. I think the hat that he's playing pool with is the one he's wearing in the actual Bridge Guy video. I think he's actually wearing that hat, or one just like it. Why would I research Whiteman? Gina, could that be the worst thing? Another chance to... I don't think there's going to be another trial. I don't think there's going to be another trial. I don't think there's a chance in hell. Are they going to prove that there is a nexus between the Odinist people and the crime scene? No. There's nothing I can, pick something that you think is going to lead to a new trial. Even the composites are... And by the way, if you live in California, be safe over there with the fires going on. It's pretty crazy. Well, I was thinking of doing... opening up the... we have StreamYards here. So if I put the link out here, you can call in and let me know what you're thinking about this... this interview. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I actually laughed a couple times because it was so stupid, some of the shit that they were trying to say. And I don't know if it's because they're intentionally being ignorant, or is it just like they really think that way. It's bizarre. People don't understand the requirements to argue a third-party culprit defense, I don't think. Yeah, you probably have to have a nexus that that there's a possibility that it's them because they were there too. This doesn't even have that. There's no evidence at all that shows that any of those other people were there. And then why wouldn't law enforcement have gone after those people if they thought that they were them? And then you have to come up with a conspiracy theory and believe that they are Odinists themselves and are protecting a brethren Odinist. And then you'd have to think to yourself, wow, that's amazing that they were able to plant that bullet at the crime scene on the day of the murders, knowing that in 4 or 5 years they can pin it on some lackey named Richard Allen, who they snuck into his house the night before and took an ejected bullet to then plant at the scene because they knew that if the investigation got too far, then that'll lead back to a guy named Richard Allen. It's so freaking ridiculous. All right, I'll try it again, you guys. So tonight is probably like the third or fourth night this month so far that we're just really struggling getting the goals. And if you guys are out there and you have the ability to help support the channel with the coffees or the super chats or whatever, I would appreciate your support. This is what we've been doing for 5-6 years now. Some people don't like it, like, oh, Gray, you did. But this is what I do. This is my work here. So I need support if you like the content that I provide. Okay? If you like the way I do it, because it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Yep, aliens did it. You got it. Do you think his daughter lied on the stand? Maybe. I can't say if she did or not because I don't know. Hey, thanks, Allie Cake. I was wondering if he had a weird fan. Yeah, well, that's what we both thought, Zozo, for a long time. That we actually thought that the daughter might even testify against him. That there was something strange going on there because of the pictures of his daughter looked similar to Libby. And she even has a picture wearing a tie-dye shirt laying on a bed. And then there's another picture of her at the bridge, lying on the bridge there. And then you sort of wonder if, you know, and then I think Zozo found that they got the daughter got engaged in November, I think, just 2 months prior to the murder. So he might have had some weird, that might have been the stressor of some sort. Well, the thing about Kathy is I kind of believe that here's what I think about Kathy. I think Kathy at one point thought, God, that looks like my husband. But believed that since he said he wasn't on the bridge, that it wasn't him. He goes, well, I wasn't even on the bridge, you know. And she believed that. And the reason I think that she believed that is because in that interrogation video, she said, you didn't tell me you were on the bridge. And so that's a moment where you realize that she sort of believed him. She might have had suspicions, but believed him and thought he'd never do that and just kind of believed him. But then when she said, you never told me you were on the bridge, and apparently she wouldn't hug him and stuff like that, and then she believed differently at that moment. And then over time, the attorneys kind of convinced her, much like Richard Allen himself, to think differently about it. We can get him off, etc. Thank you, Naomi. Right. Holman's the one that had the wife in there. That she lied. I guess, her behavior up on the stand wasn't like glowing towards her dad either. I doubt she lied because of how protected she was with him in prison. Oh, you think she would have told the truth? Well, I don't know. It's weird, too, because I don't know how... I'd like to hear the questions to her, or read them at least. I'd like to see how that went. Let's see. That she lied because of how protected she was with him in prison. As a victim of CSA, her conviction of her truth was palpable. Well, I don't know if we can say, we didn't see her, so I don't know if we can tell what her conviction of her truth was palpable. I didn't see her speak, or, we can't. All we can do is listen to how somebody described it, unless you were there. Maybe you were there, I don't know. Oh wait, maybe you were there. You the one that was there. Let's see. Will the transcript become available? Yeah, I guess after the appeal process. Because they might need the transcripts for the second, for the appeals, and then I guess in that case they put them out there. But man, you guys, what's going on? What happened to the support for the channel? This is just it's bizarro world. I didn't read the daughter was called as a witness in trial and asked if she, yeah, she was. She ever experienced SA at the hands of her father, his niece as well. Right. And she said no. But, you know, it's hard to say, you know, if her mom convinced her not to say something. Remember that one time? Don't say that. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Hey, thanks, Stormy Swearingen. Thanks, Gray, for being totally sane, smart man. Right. It's weird, you know. Like, if you're on my side, you get less views and less support. But if you're a conspiracy nutter, oh, boy. Why, you get a couple thousand. Good times doing that, you know. Maybe I've got this all done. I've got this all wrong, you guys. I need to get your guys' support again. I'm going to have to turn into a conspiracy nutter and start selling a bunch of garbage, you know. Maybe that'll do it. I don't know. Why would he confess to SA if he never did it? Who are you talking to about, Stephanie? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, yeah, right. You said he confessed to it. Well, I think what he did was, so here's how it worked. He confessed with a rational mind, and then he later, when his attorneys found out that he confessed, they told him, okay, now you've got, okay, they wanted to play up the insanity because in prison, you know, he was just, oh my God, all this stuff was going. So they had him confess a whole bunch of different times to other people using information that could verifiably, with the right witnesses, be proven to not be true. And then they could say, see, then that translates to the original one too, right? So he wasn't telling the truth there either. Well, I won't, Kayla, but where's the support? You know, it's like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know how to do my show any differently than I've been doing it. Yeah, I mean, we've got right now we're at 1/5 of the nightly goal again, and one coffee, and we're just, you know, not sure what to tell you. Common to add charges to cases. Why would he? And by the way, I have the StreamYard link is up there. Okay. If you guys could hit that, that'd be great too. Yeah, when the transcripts are available, I hope I'll be able to afford to get them, because what we're doing now, I do not know. It used to not be an issue, but now it seems to be something. Yeah, I said that they'll be available after the appeal, because I think there'll be court documents at that point. Well, thanks for the... I guess there's a coffee that came in there. I think. I don't know if that was just now or... Love to see when or if they are. Okay, so if you're somebody here that hasn't seen this, I'll just do it now again for the 100th time. All right. So this is why Richard Allen is bridge guy. Okay, and then once you and it's funny because the prosecution says exactly the same wording that I say. Once you realize that Richard Allen is bridge guy, then everything else is just, okay, then he's the killer because, you know, or at least was there. He kidnapped them. Yeah, it's just not, but it needs to translate, Alexander, because that's the only way to keep a channel going and surviving. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about anybody, you know. It's hard to believe that if you have 300 people watching or whatever it is, I don't know. Never used to be like that, I guess. It's hard to have it switch in your brain. Thanks, Quizzical Girl. Here's another super to Gray for your work. Just wanted to also give a middle finger to your detractors. Yeah, right. Okay, here we go. So right here, I just have 3 spheres. Hey, thanks, Jim Nething. Lucky number 7, is that what's going on there? Alright, so let's look at that. Those are the 3 girls, but there's 4. So just realize there's 4 girls, but I'm using 3 because that's all there were for witnesses. So here they go. Watch this. They were right here at 12:43. But they also were over here around 12:15 coming in. So listen to this, everybody. Check it out. They were right here at 12:15. They walked down the trail, did not see Richard Allen or a bridge guy. And then they were here at 12:43. So Richard Allen's second story, when he said he got there at noon and left at 1:30, is a lie. Verifiable and proven by these same 3 girls. And at 12:43, they're at the bridge and they walked this way. They just didn't see Richard Allen. I mean, hell, Richard Allen should be sitting there, looking at fish or something, right? And then they walk this direction. And then at 1:26, they sit down at a bench right here. And then 1 minute later, at 1:27, Richard Allen, a black vehicle matching Richard Allen's 2016 black Ford Focus, drives right by the Hoosier Harvest store right there, and then parks at the abandoned CPS building. So like 1:27, probably gets out of the car at 1:29, takes 4 minutes. 1:33, he gets right here and he passes the 3 girls right there as the woods start, and the 3 girls saw him. One said he was wearing all blue, one said all black, one said blue jeans and a blue jacket, you know, but they all saw the same person because he also saw them and he admits to it. Then the 3 girls eventually go across the Freedom Bridge here and then go over Old State Road 25 in a minute, but Richard Allen would take 11 minutes. So he would get to, and that's walking quick. 1:44, he gets to the start of the bridge. Now look at the girls up above. They're going over the the Old State Road 25 bridge, and then Betsy Blair goes underneath, and she looked up and saw the 4 girls. Then she passes the Hoosier Harvest store here at 1:46, parks her car. Richard Allen had just got here at 1:44. So he could not have sprinted this way and been over here when Betsy Blair got off and started walking like that. Okay, so she gets out, and Richard Allen has to be in this area because there's no time for him to have gotten past her. So then Betsy Blair heads down, and just after her, Kelsey dropped off Abby and Libby. And they're walking slower because they're just there hanging out, right? And then Betsy Blair makes it to the bridge. And she actually only makes it to the barricade and turns around, which we found out was 111 feet, not 50 feet as she described. So then Betsy Blair turns around and then halfway back passes Abby and Libby. Now in Betsy's mind, she might be just thinking, oh, they're going to run in, you know, might not have thought he's some killer or something like that, but those 2 girls are going to run into him. But I think because he made her nervous, she didn't do her normal halfway down the 505 trail and back up. She just went over to the Freedom Bridge. Now look, watch yellow here. That's Betsy Blair. The whole time she's walking, she does not see Richard Allen, even at this point. So from here, you'd be able to see to there, right? Easily from right there, you'd look down, oh, there's that guy again. But didn't see him. And that's because at that time, he's taking the girls across the creek and then down. And I think back in this little corner, which is right underneath my picture, so I'm going to have to move myself. So right down there in that little corner, see that? So down there, he takes them down the hill, and then in that corner, he was going to assault them. And then right up here on the private drive, a van drove by. It scared them. Then they crossed, and he killed them over there. He said he didn't want him to suffer. He, didn't want to get caught. And he also said then after that, he left, not on the trails, and went on to live his life. But look how he can't be, he has to be bridge guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, he gets out, and he's bridge guy right here. He admits that right now we know that this blue dot is Richard Allen. Okay? And then he said he went to the bridge, and he stood on platform 1. And then when Betsy Blair gets there, in a time frame where he could not have left before she got there, she gets to the bridge and sees him standing on platform 1. So now we know that the blue dot here is still Richard Allen. There's no chance it isn't. And then he doesn't admit to seeing Betsy Blair, and he also doesn't admit to seeing Abby and Libby, and that's because that would get him in trouble. It's the same reason, he had to come forward after law enforcement released the image of himself. So law enforcement released an image of Richard Allen, and then Richard Allen, so that was on the 14th is when the girls' bodies were found. The 15th, an image was put out of the bridge guy, and then Richard Allen the very next day goes into the police station and says, "Hey, I was out there that day," because they asked him to. And then a few days after that, that's when Dan Doolin interviewed him. And Dan Doolin is the one that got the IMEI number. He's the one that got that he was there from 1:30 to 3:30, etc. And so those are all, they make it sound like Richard Allen's this great guy. He was just trying to help. But if at $1 for every case where the killer insinuates themselves into the case, I could retire. I mean, this is, it just happens every time almost. Because they're nervous, especially one like this, when he passes 3 girls that saw him, and then he also is seeing, the image is him, right? So now he's paranoid that the image of himself and those 3 girls seeing him, somebody might recognize him. So he wants to see what law enforcement has. So he comes forward and tells them, "Oh yeah, I was out there." And it's unfortunate, because if Dan Doolin had merely said to Richard Allen, "Hey Richard, yeah, we know you're out there. We got this trail camera picture of you right here. See this?" And he would have went, "Oh yeah, that's me, yep." Because at that point, nobody knew exactly, where the image came from. Right at that, on the 15th, nobody knew. So, had they said that to him, he could have been arrested on the 15th or 16th, or I think it may have been the 17th is the day that Dan Doolin interviewed him. I don't remember. Was it the 16th? Does anybody remember the exact date that he interviewed him? I know it wasn't the 15th. That's just when, or the 16th is when Richard Allen went in. But I think maybe the next day or something like that is when Dan Doolin actually interviewed him. I know, it would have been cool to see the court testimony. Right. Well, Gina said, if you had $1 from everyone in here, you'd be great. It would be. Because it's just, it's mind-boggling, you guys. For those that don't know, the Delphi trial is about 10 feet trail. It's actually, I've got all the numbers, Mike. I don't need you to, I've already gone over that many times. I have the actual numbers. People with a measuring tape that got it. All right. I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, so it's right here. It is 6 feet 8 inches inside to inside of those side rails, 9 feet 11 outside to outside, and 4-inch rail height, and then the railroad tie widths are 8.5 inches. There you go. All right, let's see. Interview was on the 18th in store parking lot. The 18th, okay, so it was 2 days later. Yeah, I know it was in the store parking lot, Mike. We've gone over that many times. I just needed the date. Let's see. Benny, we have been on this for months. Save it. It's so weird, some of these people. It's almost like we've never talked about it. Ruin the chance of having cameras in the courtroom. I wish the court had provided the cameras and controlled access to the feed. Yeah, well, I think they just should have had another room. They could have had another room, you know, like just where a bunch of people could be in, and like another 100 people, and they could watch it, but still have a security guard in there, no talking, etc. That would have been pretty good. And the store that Richard Allen, let's see, hold on. It's this one, right? Oh, yeah, I guess I had it all here. It says, Richard Allen meets Dan Doolin on February 18th at the Save-A-Lot. So not at his work. And don't you find that sort of interesting? You know, that he didn't want to meet over at his work parking lot. But it's just, it was over at this place right here, the Save-A-Lot. I didn't realize I had that in my notes. All right, well, is anybody going to be calling in? Or coming on to the StreamYard? I want to know what you guys thought if you watched the show, the interview tonight. That's doing great, Crime Watcher. How's it going for you? I don't know who Benny is up there. You mean Benny and the Jets? Yeah, they've been around. Yep, justice for Abby and Libby. It's already happened, Crime Watcher. Isn't that great? So the justice has already been served. Richard Allen was found guilty by 12 people. You agree with that, right, Crime Watcher? I don't think that's the actual Defense Diaries podcast, or they'd have... Let's see, my brain is... And if it is them, just block them, or time them out, just like they did for me when I didn't say anything over there. So check to see if that's the Defense Diaries, and if it is them, then make sure to time them out, just like I got over there by saying nothing. All right, because they believe in freedom of speech over there on Defense Diaries for sure. Yeah, so go ahead and time them out just like I got. All right? Thanks. If you don't agree on Bob Motta's channel, by God, you get timed out. You get timed out for the entire show. So go screw yourself. Did my mods time you out? Oh, you give me a break. Now you're timed out. Let's see. Let's see, in which case it makes sense too. My brain is misfiring at the moment. Can't remember a name or find an article, so it might be the wrong case. But wasn't there a man whose property search ended up linking him? No, Kayla. You're talking about Ron Logan. Now, it was on his property, right? Like, this is Ron Logan's property right here. And so this is his property down here. And people wanted it to be him. There's still people that believe it was him. But he had absolutely nothing to do with it. Okay? Absolutely nothing at all. Yeah. How would it link Richard Allen? I don't get it. No, it didn't. Yeah, they didn't ask any relevant questions. I mean, it was just amazing over there, you guys. I've never seen anything like it. Like, especially allowing a defense attorney to start implicating Kelsey again, you know, sort of adding to the crap about, you know, Rayleigh Voorhees is friends with Kelsey and they shared a look. When Rayleigh left the stand, she looked over at Kelsey and she nodded. You know, and oh, and Kelsey, she's the one that had the picture of Abby on the bridge. That's how we got it. Ooh. Geez, you don't think Kelsey has been threatened, accused, and trashed for 7 years. Okay? And for some reason, the people trashing them are the people who support people like Defense Diaries, etc. The lunatic fringe of the true crime world are defending a double child killer instead of, and then accusing a sister of one of the victims instead of the double child killer psycho Richard Allen. All right? Unbelievable. Sick as hell, man. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, it's so fun, though. You know, we can all just sort of try to defend a psycho Richard Allen. My God, I think if you sat quietly with Richard Allen and he said, you know what, you guys, I did it, you wouldn't believe him. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't believe him at all. Yeah. And anybody that's out there that is sort of entertaining the thought of and defending the psychos out there that are attacking Becky, Kelsey, and the rest of them, and you can just go to hell, man. I think you guys are disgusting people. And you know it, too. You know it when you go to sleep at night that you're a pile of shit. But you won't admit it to your viewers because you're all part of this cool little club. I can't stand it, man. Oh my God, you should see it, Jim, out there. I don't know if you follow it out there. It's absolutely insane. The stuff that people say. You know, like literally. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how these people do this stuff. I don't know how they sleep at night. You know, it's just. It's sad. Sad stuff. And I did lie to the person earlier when he said, how's the goal going tonight? It's terrible again, you guys. We're at a quarter of the nightly goal. If you guys could help support the channel, that would be great. At least it lets me know that I'm doing the right things here. You know? Can't imagine how angry that makes the family. Well, I don't know. I think what they need to do is sue some of these people. And I would actually start throwing Auger's name in that list too. Because of what she just did tonight. You know, sort of implicating sort of slyly that Kelsey has something to do with something. Yeah, a lot of times he'll just ramble on for forever when you have a guest on them. Everybody really just wants to hear what they're saying. You know. I mean, everybody wants to, you know, like I interject sometimes, obviously. And when call-in shows aren't really the same as having an actual, like when you have somebody like Colleen Fitzpatrick on, you know, you don't really want to interrupt her. Thanks, Allie Cake. She's trying to go for a wave, you guys. Will you guys help Allie Cake? They have been thrown up. Yeah. Lindsay, you're going to get your feelings hurt. Huh? And one of the things, too, that she said tonight was, like, she started crying. You know, I think, like, Auger seems like a, well-meaning person. I just think she's a conspiratorial person mentally. You can just tell by the things that she was saying. But she was saying stuff like, she cried because she wasn't able to prove reasonable doubt. And then when asked, do you factually believe your client's innocent? She said, well, I can't answer because, it's against ethics. Well, it's against ethics if you lie in that answer. You can say, yeah, I think he's factually innocent. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong with it is if you say, yeah, I think he's factually innocent, but you don't actually believe that. Okay? So that's where it gets... there's no reason you can't answer that question. We've had other attorneys that he's had say the same thing. In fact, his attorneys have said that. Hey, thanks, Cindy Leon. Wow, I've got my numbers right now. 66666. Somebody get it off of there. You guys kill me. No, I'm not. This is the thing. You guys don't understand how the evidence actually plays in... No, we do know how it plays in court. That's why he got found guilty, Lindsay. Don't you understand that? Like, Richard Allen was found guilty because we know the evidence better than you do. That's what's kind of freaky about it. Like, you come in here and act like, oh, you got it all right, but how come all of us were right and you were wrong? Do you ever wonder about that? It's interesting, isn't it? Right, you wouldn't be on YouTube at this point, would you? No, it's not. Listen, you guys all told me. Put a 1 if you saw 1,000 comments in my comments that said, Gray, it's innocent until proven guilty, you bastard. Oh, how dare you? And I would say back, well, I'm not an attorney. I'm not the courts. My opinion is that Richard Allen 100% is the bridge guy, okay? He is the killer. Gray, he's innocent until proven guilty. And then, lo and behold, he got found guilty by 12 jurors. Gray, they got it wrong, you bastard. Oh, okay. Oh, man. Have your cake and eat it too, huh? It's not just Gray. The justice system convicted him. Right. I'm just telling you how it went. I kept saying Richard Allen 100% is the bridge guy, and here's why, and there's no out for him. He is the guy. There is no out. All right? So I don't care if you want to try to get some little sneaky crap in and try to, let me see if I can trick somebody to believe something. The truth is that Richard Allen is bridge guy, therefore is the person who abducted them and took them down, and he even admitted it, for God's sakes. All right, so that's why my opinion was that he did it. And then when he was found guilty by a jury of his peers, apparently that's not good enough for the We Love Richard Allen, a Double Child Killer crew. You guys are sick. Yes, Lindsay, I know how many people in the I know that there are people that are falsely convicted in this country. Richard Allen isn't one of those people, however. Okay? There's many, and as a matter of fact, how many of those people that are convicted like that sit down and rationally and quietly tell their psychologist the exact thing that they did, confess, and have information that only the killer would know, and also place himself as the only person at the crime scene? Yeah, no, they got the right guy here. Now, that's one of the things, like, I am pro death penalty when specific criteria is met. Hey, thanks so much, Stacy Pittman. That helps a lot. But the way the death penalty is currently, I don't believe in the death penalty on cases where it's like, oh, an eyewitness and a certain thing. It needs to be where I think the death penalty should be rare, but life imprisonment with no parole should be pretty common. And the reason I say that is because every single person who has been exonerated off of death row, that means that they put together information that was false. You know, like they were exonerated, and the prosecution team put up a story that sold information to a jury, and they all convicted the person, and they were given the death penalty, but then they were set free. So what you have to realize is before DNA, which exonerates a lot of these people, we must have executed people that were absolutely innocent. Like, innocent people were executed. And the thing is I think if our country executes one innocent person, you shouldn't have the death penalty. So what I would do is I'd make the death penalty exceedingly rare. For example, like if somehow you had caught Shamsuddin Jabbar and he was alive, and you have him on tape ramming over people, and they caught him right after he got out of the truck, that's a guy that gets the death penalty, right? Because there's no question about it. It's just like, it's so obvious, right? Or like if Thomas Crooks had achieved his goal and they caught him, well, he'd get the death penalty, right? Those are ones that are obvious. But a case like this case doesn't have the death penalty, Richard Allen. And to me, it's obvious that Richard Allen is bridge guy, and therefore, what did you see, Brad Weber? What does that even mean? What did you see, Brad Weber? Oh my God, you guys are sick people. Brad Weber wasn't there, Lindsay. Brad Weber wasn't there. If he was, they would have had a nexus to the crime scene. Yeah, somebody time out this Lindsay person. Yeah, just not making any sense. Yeah, Brad Weber has nothing to do with it, nor do any of the other, quote, Odinists that are out there, okay? None of them. So, the way I like to frame this one is like this. The case started a long time ago, 2017, February 13th. I knew Robert Ives from the very beginning. He came on to a podcast that I had like in 2021 with Morph and somebody else. I can't remember her name right now. And he told us that they thought they were going to solve the crime in 2 weeks because they had a video, etc. And turns out they should have. If Dan Doolin had given the interview information sooner, and I think a lot of the evidence would even be stronger and better. But over the years, the prosecution team put together bits of information. They had the three girls, and what their comments were and what they saw. They had Betsy Blair. They had Sarah Carbaugh. And then I think they also had information about a car that was parked at the abandoned CPS building. They had the bullet that was found at the crime scene. They had all that stuff for years. And then in 2019, Doug Carter does his press conference and said, we want to know who the individual who drove the vehicle that was parked at the abandoned CPS building was. And that's sort of the whole thing right there, right? They had all of these questions that they needed answers to. And the answer was lying in a box where Kathy Shank pulls out and goes, and she knew enough of the little pieces to say, holy crap. There was these 3 girls that saw a guy, and I think this might be that guy. And she might even have known that those 3 girls said it looked like the guy on the bridge. And then she comes forward, and boom, Richard Allen answered every single question that law enforcement had. He was the person that was parked at the abandoned CPS building. Richard Allen was the person that the 3 girls saw, and he saw them. Richard Allen is the person Betsy Blair saw because of the timing. It has to be him. And he was standing on platform 1, thus verifying that it's the same person because she got there exactly when he would be standing on platform 1. And then we also have, Sarah Karboff. You want to choose to believe that. She saw the person that matched the description of Bridge Guy. And he answered every single question. And then when, he's being talked to by Jerry Holman in the car, he says, "Oh, don't worry about it, man. My life's over. It's over," And he said it multiple times, apparently. And he said that before any of his neighbors or anybody would have known what the investigation was about. You see? So that's kind of odd. Then he's taken down to be questioned. And one of the most damning things that he said, I think, in my mind, is when it was in the first interview, not the Holman one, not the one with the other 2 detectives. He said, when asked, "We just want to clear one thing up, Richard. Is this you in this picture?" "No. If one of those girls, if the girl took that picture, that's not me." That's got to be one of the most damning statements ever made. I mean, who in the hell would say that? You would just say, "No, that's not me." Yeah, it's not me at all. That's not what I look like. It's not me. If it wasn't you, that's what you'd say, right? But here's what somebody would say if you knew it was you. Because you know it's you, because you're looking at it. You'd say, well, yeah, that's not me if the girl took it, for sure. That's not me if she took it. But, other than that, yeah, that's me. But I can't tell you it's me because if I do, then that means the girl took the picture and then, I'm in trouble. All right. So isn't that obvious at that point? All right, you guys, let's get some more of these coffees going. Need some more super chats. All right, so let's get the coffee. Let's try to do better than yesterday. One of the worst nights of the year. So we're behind yesterday currently. Hey, thanks, Vicky White on there. Let's see, one of the dumbest comments ever made. Yeah, well, no, it's not. Was that you? No. If the girl took the picture, it's not me. Wow. How do you explain that, pro Richard Allen types? Can you explain that one to me? You notice how those aren't questions that are asked of people like Auger? Nobody goes, hey, Auger, let me ask you something. Why do you think Richard Allen said that? I don't know. Why does anybody say anything? Right. Mm-hmm. Let's see. If anyone else took the picture, it's me. Right. That's what he's saying. And he knows it's him. That's why he came forward in the first place. It's interesting after all the... see, here's what he said, though. So, when he was interviewed later, he changed the time frame from 1:30 to 3:30 to 12 to 1:30, exactly outside, right? So I think that's why he then felt comfortable to say, "Oh yeah, I went out on the platform 1, and I was looking at fish," and he felt comfortable enough at that point because now he's outside of the range. It doesn't really matter, but it's easier to tell the truth, sprinkled in with some lies, right? Welcome, Angela Alex. That's the only new channel member tonight. We've been left at the crime scene. I don't know what that means. Yeah, the phone was at the crime scene, yeah. Yeah, well, that's right. They had a big conversation about the phone pinging, etc. Well, guess what? Richard Allen's phone, the IMEI number, didn't show up, man. It didn't show up. Well, that's weird. So he must have lied when he told Dan Doolin he was looking at his stock tickers. Well, Dan Doolin didn't really hear him say that. Okay, then why didn't he have his cell phone with him then? Well, some people leave their cell phones at home. Then how come they found like 9 or 10 or 12 different devices, or a whole bunch of devices in that house, but never found his phone? Well, that's a good question. This case couldn't be more obvious, you guys. Hey, thanks, Cindy Leon, for 53 months. Man, what is that? 48, almost 4.5 years. All right, you guys, we're currently at 40% of a nightly goal. So if you're out there and you like my show and you have the ability to help support the channel, I would appreciate it. Kind of rely on you guys on a nightly basis. If you like it, I would appreciate the support. Why did he have a gun and box cutter with him? Well, we know he had a gun, right? Hey, look at that. Allie Cake and Cindy Leon joined the same day. All right, so the things that we're talking about, they wanted to know the significance. Of course, as soon as they brought up the white van and how a van had been mentioned on social media a long time ago. So what are they saying then? That somehow Richard Allen wove in the van precisely when it would be driving by? How would he know about that? So even if he knew that there was a van, how would he know that the van just happened to be driving by exactly on the private drive at that time? And of course, when they bring that up, that's when people go, "Oh, Gray, you were told by that psychologist." Nope, you're wrong. And I know you're wrong because I'm me. Isn't that weird? You think his phone was found during that Keegan Kline water? No, I don't. They didn't find anything. If they found his phone, it'd be huge. It would link Keegan Kline to Richard Allen. See, that's the one answer I want to. When Holman was being interviewed the other day, he just said that they haven't been able to find a connection, not that there isn't one. Mm-hmm. Oh, come on. That's bullshit, Bell Mayhem. You're full of crap. Okay. Yeah, that's complete bullshit. Let's see. Keegan Kline, that's who I think you're thinking of. Yeah, Keegan Kline, right. I mean, I would think it must have raised alarm bells in the investigator's mind when Keegan Kline said that he went to his mother's house either in Peru or even in, if he said Mexico, because it's right there. Okay? It's right there at Keegan Kline's area, and it must have made him go, That's interesting. You were there that morning. Yeah, we already went over all that, Penny, all that stuff, but we don't know. They said there's no connection at this point, so I mean, we've theorized on all of that 100 times. Right, we've gone over the whole theory that the Samsung phone that he factory reset on the taxi, that he said he found in the taxi cab, was actually the phone that Richard Allen gave him over at the gas station, you know, near his house. And then Keaton Klein and his dad go to Vegas. He sells the image over there. Then factory resets the phone and then comes back. So, you know, my theory what was, you know, but I think they'd be able to trace it back, was the Samsung phone would have been Richard Allen's phone. And Keaton Klein took it with him to Vegas and then factory reset it. All right, we're still way short on the coffees and the goalie, guys. Let's see. He did take the phone. It didn't ping. Right. I mean, even if he had it with him, he had it turned off. Whatever it was, he didn't have it. I mean, the phone wasn't pinging. And if I guarantee you, if there was information that showed that his phone... here's what I want law enforcement to do, by the way, is to go back in time and figure out when his phone quit contacting anything. You know, wouldn't it be interesting if his phone, for example, on the 15th of 2017, you know, February 2017, never contacted another tower again? That would be interesting. Or maybe he kept it for 3 or 4 months, and then just knowing exactly when the phone disappeared. When was the last time his phone ever contacted a tower? I think that's something they should be able to find. Let's see. Talk about geofencing, but doesn't mention Richard Allen's phone. Probably went into that CVS dumpster with. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I just want to know when the last time it ever pinged on anything. Defense wants to talk about. Right. Is anybody going to be calling in tonight? Because if not, I'm just going to end the show. I'm not sure what's going on with the freaks lately, but it's just it's not things aren't happening. People aren't calling. People aren't, you know, supporting the channel financially. It's just a big struggle. So, you guys, is anybody going to be coming in on the StreamYards? I thought people were going to be calling in. Now we've had 0. You know, that's been pinned at the top. Yeah, well, there's no reason it shouldn't be like the old days. Old days were 2 months ago. There's no difference. All right. Anyways, thank you to Gina, Lisa, and Vicky on the Buy Me a Coffees. Thank you to today is worse than yesterday. Having another just horrendous. Kami, Alley Cake, Michelle Wood, Quizzical Girl, Vicky White, Richard Watts, Alley Cake, Quizzical Girl, Ducky, I mean, if somebody wants to call in quick, I'll do it. But you guys just, I want to have conversations with people. Ducky, Alley Cake, Naomi, Stormy, Swearingen, Quizzical Girl, Jim Neving, Alley Cake, Cindy Lynn, Sarah 67, Stacy Pittman, Angela Alex, a new member, and then we had, well, I guess, right there, Sandy Shirley, gifted 5 memberships. All right. Well, that's good. We got 5 new members. That's we even had members lately. It's bizarre. It's just really weird shit. Gotta be honest. Yeah. Right. I mean, last year was exactly the same. Not like this, though. I mean, it was the same situation. Worse, though. Let's see. It wasn't years ago. And it's always about the cases that you do, or how big it is. Like normally super chats are for people to put a comment in the chat. You read it and you discuss it for a minute, and it doesn't seem like people do that a lot here. Why doesn't somebody just come in on the StreamYard link, and if you watch the interview, you can tell me what you thought. I'll wait about 2 minutes. You don't have to have your face on there, you guys. It's just like the Skype, It's just not a phone number. You just click on the link, you come in, you talk, and that's it. But don't know how. Well, you just click on the link at the top of the chat there. Right. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. See you guys later. Jesus Christ. Waste. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I'm a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, hey, I see, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Hey, yeah, I guess so we got. Get right back to work. All right, everybody. I did. Looks like Gina came. Do you want to come on there? Somebody came in just as I was ending the show. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, what's going on?
Man, I have so much respect for you.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me get rid of my. I know it's my fault on the audio. Hold on. Okay, I think I just turned off the echoing. Is that better? Or... You have to turn off your echoing on the audio. You have to turn off your echoing. Yeah, on the. I'll just not talk. You talk. How about that? Yeah.
I just appreciate so much what you do.
Yeah.
I just appreciate so much what you do.
Well,
I
thanks.
mean, so much what you do. I was listening to Burkhart and Mata until I found you. I was
All right.
listening to Burkhart and Mata until I found you.
I don't know if you have, do you have the settings? You can turn it on your screen. You turn off echo. Turn off the echo.
Do you have the settings? You turn off echo.
Under audio, you hit the echo cancellation. Maybe I'll do reduce background noise. How about that?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
I mean, okay, before I met you, I was a Mata and Burkhart follower. I was a Mata and Burkhart.
Hey, tell you what. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do, Gina. I'll put the phone number on the screen for Skype, and you can just dial it. So you can get off. Let's just get off of here, and then you dial the number. Put it on the screen, now, okay?
Let's just get off of here and you put it on the screen. All right, how about now?
All right. Let's see. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Say something.
Hey, how you doing?
I think you fixed it. Hey, all right.
Okay. You know, until I found you, Gray, I was watching the bootlickers. I didn't know any better. When I finally found you and you showed me everything on the screen, I could not deny this man's a killer. I went through the trial every day, listening to all the evidence. There is no way anybody with a full deck can say Richard Allen is not the killer.
Yeah. Were you able to go to the trial yourself, or?
I'm in Henderson, Kentucky. I didn't want to make the drive all the way to Delphi. I couldn't have got in anyway. It was dog eat dog up there. I wasn't about to sleep on no sidewalk.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't do that either.
I'm 60 years old. I'm past that, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm really disappointed in the turnout tonight. I mean, Herbert Landscaping, where was he? He must be shoveling snow. I kept waiting for him to come on and give you some money. He never showed.
That's okay. People don't have to, the thing is what was weird, it's weird to me is like, I'm not, like nobody has to do anything. I just think it's weird how sometimes like everybody's so like, they're helping, but then the other nights it's just, you're just
they want to come in and listen to you, but they don't want to give you any money when you're so entertaining.
Well, they don't have to give anything.
I'm on disability, and I'll give you whatever I can to help keep you going. I enjoy you so much.
Well, thanks for that, but I don't want people, if you can't afford it, to send me a nickel.
I can afford it.
I'm just trying to make things happen on here.
I can afford it. I just don't give my money away. You're the first ever I've ever given $1 to. That's because you made such a profound effect on my way of thinking about this case. I mean, I was all on the he is innocent bandwagon. I mean, hook, line, and sinker. Burkhart had me from the get-go. She had me from day one. And I happened to hop on your channel. And once I sat and listened to you and you showed, you took me by the hand and took me through it. And I am a rational human being. By the time you were done, I had totally changed my mind. So thank you for that.
Yeah, what's was it like the animations or what was
it was everything you did. The overheads of the bridge, the property, the dots. I mean, it just made so much sense because I was a diehard that he was innocent.
Now, so what were the things that you'd hear that made you think he was innocent?
You told me I was crazy. You told me I was fucking crazy for not seeing what you were saying. And you really got my attention. And if more people had watched that, I think you'd have a whole lot more people knowing that he was the killer. There are so many things he could not explain.
Well, that's what I always say to people. I always wish, like, God, I wish everybody out there that watches those other people would watch this right here, and you'd know that there's no out. Like
Well, and I was watching Rick Snae's dumbass, and because he was right there in Indianapolis. You weren't even there. You're up in Oregon, right?
yeah, I was. I actually had everything planned to go the first time the trial was supposed to go. Then there's some different things that were going on at the time, and I wasn't able to go the second time.
It was a circus, Gray. Be glad you didn't go, because it was a circus up there. You would have hated it.
Well,
You would have been. They would have hated you.
Well, they would have. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of violent. You get a lot of threats, like Snee and his little merry band of morons.
Rick Snae's he's such an ass.
They threaten people with physical violence all the time.
Oh, he cussed me out and blocked me because I was defending you. I mean, I will never watch him again. I do like to watch him because he's so stupid. I get a kick out of how stupid he is.
Well, it's kind of funny sometimes to listen to some of the things he tells his view. Well, weird is people believe it that are watching him.
It's all those dumb, screwed up people from Delphi. He's talking about the Flora 4, those 4 little girls that were killed in the house fire. He's getting ready to look at that. That was just horrible. That happened 6 months before Abby and Libby were killed.
Well, he's gonna try to tie it to Delphi and then talk about how Becky did it on the house time, and of course now it's all part of a big conspiracy.
And how Libby's dad got busted for the meth and trying to tie all that in, that this was to get back at her dad for him ratting out people in Delphi. Just a bunch of crap. Just a bunch of crap. And I really hope for Becky and all of them that they don't win a new trial. I'm glad you think they won't. But man, when you hear some of this shit that they're saying online, I mean,
well, I can say I don't think there's a chance that they're going to get I mean, there's obviously a chance, but I just think it's unlikely that he'd get another trial.
Well, I hope you're right.
I mean, what would it be based on? That they weren't able to do the Odinist theory?
Yes.
Well, but they haven't. There's no proof or nexus that. The only thing is that one guy that has a brain of a 7-year-old said, "Hey, if my spit or something's found there, that's it, man. There's no connection to."
Well, and you can never second guess an appellate court, Gray. It could go either way. It depends on the state of Indiana, and the appellate court. They could actually grant him a new trial. Scary stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a chance. I don't know. He even got his attorneys. Remember, that would have been a big issue if he wasn't able to have his 2 attorneys, but he got them. And then it was up to his attorneys to provide the nexus between the Odinist people and...
well, they're bringing up the safekeeping hearing that he had no representation at. That's another thing they're bringing up. And by all rights, that was kind of shady. He should at least had an attorney there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, here's one thing I'm hoping. That is, I hope that Becky and Kelsey and Mike file lawsuits against many of the YouTubers out there that have been, and they would win.
Well, Kelsey for sure. They're trying to put her in the loop as she had something to do with it.
You say the same thing about Becky though too, So they've done it for all of them, but Kelsey, 100%. They need to go after them to set an example because they've made her life.
They have no shame at all. This family are victims.
Yeah,
I mean, Kelsey loved her sister. It's a shame. It's all a shame that these YouTubers out here have caused so much doubt in people's minds that they actually think in this Odinist crap.
Yeah, no, it's scary, to be honest with you. So I don't know what what were the things when you were watching, Mata and those guys before Burkhart. What made you believe them because of their status as being attorneys and stuff like that? Or
I had nothing to compare it to till I found you.
Yeah.
Not many people were on there. You had Frank Meister, which I never watched him. You had only a few people that were saying he was guilty. And I hopped up on you one day and everything I thought changed. But you got to understand that how many people were watching Burkhart every day.
Yeah, she'd have like 8,000 or 9,000 people watching.
Well, yeah. I mean, and she was going through the transcript line by line of her note. Lawyer Lee was the same way, but Lawyer Lee didn't have an opinion till the end.
But she kind of kept saying things though that had an opinion though. I could tell like little comments she'd make. You could tell where she was headed. She wants to be on that side.
Well, in the end, her opinion was that he was guilty. But who knows what her opinion really was? She was sitting up Burkhart's ass the whole time out in the line.
She thought he was being screwed over the whole time.
Probably.
But her opinion was at the end that he was guilty, probably just so she could be on the right side of what the reality is. I think, but see, defense attorneys, they go out of their way to try to make a guilty person appear to innocent. That's what their
job.
Yeah,
that's what they do. But when you're so skewed, where the facts come in, I mean, he admitted to it 60 damn times.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, once.
And in the early ones were calmly. I mean, the way I look at it, it was like he told his wife, "Hey, I did it," and then
she wasn't having that.
I did it. I want you to believe. And the thing is, what he really wanted was for her to believe. He wanted to have this peace of mind. He wanted to confess, and he wanted his wife to still love him, even knowing that he did kill those girls.
She wasn't having it.
And she wouldn't have it until there was that one time when finally she did say, or his mom actually, when he said, "Well, I did it. Do you still love me?" She goes, "Of course." He goes, "But would you still love me even knowing that I did do this?" And she said, "Yes, the mom did." But his wife never did that.
Kathy never said that.
Right. So he was trying to, like, I would, use Kamala's line, unburden himself,
Well, I believe Kathy knew a lot more than she ever said. If that was my husband, I would have known him.
Well, my thing is, I think she had suspicions that he, might have been involved. And I bet she even thought that looked like him on the bridge, but he said he was never on the bridge. And that's why in interrogation, she said, "You never said you were on the bridge." Right. So
during the Holman interview.
She had suspicions, but was able to sort of squash it in her mind, just by, I know him. So,
Obviously she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? There may have been a history in his background of this sexual perversion, and we will never know it because they'll never fess up to it. I can tell you. His family will never, ever confess up to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say, like somebody was saying, he's in prison, so why can't the daughter tell the truth? But I guess if your daughter wants to protect you, even though he did assault you, then you're not going to tell the truth.
He may never have touched his daughter, Gray, but Kathy had been with him for years. She knew he was a pervert on some level. You don't sleep with somebody night after night for years and not have some inkling that there's something there not right. Now, I just don't believe that.
Yeah, she might have known something like that.
But now, do I think he molested his kid? I don't think so. I think there had been a big stink I believe Kathy would not.
Though, like he mentioned that in one of his confessions. But
yeah, but he said he molested his sister too, which she said never happened.
Right. But I mean, if they're thinking they want to protect their brother, they're not going to admit that, because admitting that immediately puts them in a whole nother category where he's going to be found guilty no matter what.
Dude,
right?
If my brother molested one of his kids, I'd be the first to call him out. I mean, that's just, there's family loyalty.
Well, I guess in your case, it'd be, what if he did that to you, but he was on trial for murder and you didn't believe he was a murderer? Wouldn't you not tell the truth, perhaps, to try to...
I see your point there. I see your point there.
See, that's where it's kind of like, yeah, God, because as soon as you say yeah, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I guess that's where I'm wondering.
Well, it's been great talking to you. I'm glad you had me on. I have been following you relentlessly from the first, about a month into the trial is when I found you, right almost at the very end.
Wow. So you were doing that whole time, you were listening to the garbage.
I was listening to the garbage. You are correct. And I was convinced he was innocent. Man, I tell you, Burkhart is good. She can make you think the moon is made of cheese. She is that good. If you listen to her, she is very convincing. Very convincing.
It seems so thoughtful and it really it's just a bunch of garbage, you know.
Well, I quit following her. I was following her on Instagram and Twitter. I'm done following her on all that because she was just so influential on people that were watching that trial, because she was there every day. Bob Motta was there every day. Laura Lee was there every day. I mean,
Bob never got that huge crowd like they got.
No.
I mean, I don't understand why that was the case. It didn't make sense. Because the big crowds are all following the pro Richard Allen people.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I just happened to find you. If I hadn't have found you, Gray, I would still be thinking he's innocent.
Wow. So the weird part is I feel like I have this effect on almost all of the big cases that I cover. Like when you're doing the Idaho 4 case, make sure to come back over here when that's going
he's so guilty, I don't even want to watch it.
Yeah, right. But but there's a whole group of people. It's almost exactly the same. Where I guarantee you the main crowds are going to think and guess what? Burkhart, all those people are going to try to find how
they found his DNA, Gray. You can't dispute that. It's a slam dunk for me. They just found his DNA. It's over.
Yeah, but they're going to make a deal about how they got the DNA.
They got the DNA because he left it there. That's why.
Well, they're not going to make a deal about how they found it, but it's going to be how they determined that was his. So they use genetic genealogy in some sort of backdoor method, but all it really is a lead. And once you get the lead, you have to still do an investigation to determine. Hey, thanks, Mike Fitzpatrick. Anybody else out there want to help support the channel? All right.
At least give him $1, you guys. Good grief.
Yeah, good grief, she said. You know what I gotta do is take that audio and make it a button. At least give him $1, Gray. Give him $1, good grief. Boom, hit that button.
If everybody in here that's watching you would just give you $1, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we'd make the goal, easy. Yeah, it never happens. I mean, it never happens like that. It's usually...
That's a shame that people tune in every night and listen to you and don't give you a cent. I think is terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people don't have the money. I don't look at it like that. I just look at it like, I don't know what I'm doing differently now than what I used to.
You're not doing... Gray, we've had a horrible storm in the Midwest. A lot of people don't have power right now. They have no way to even watch you tonight. I mean, we have tens of thousands of people without power in Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky. We had a horrible storm. I mean, I was without power for 7 hours. My sister's been without power now for 4 days. I mean, it's been a war zone down here. Can't even walk to the damn mailbox.
Yeah. See, just a minute ago, Danny typed in fruit of the poisonous tree. It's legal. We all know what that means. Like, you get some information, and then everything that was bore out of that information is then deemed inadmissible. But the thing is, that's not what genetic genealogy is. See, genetic genealogy is merely a lead. It's no different than a psychic. It's no different than a informant. It's just you're using genealogy. It leads to a name. You give it to the detectives. Then they have to look at it and say, does this name make sense?
It's an investigational tool is what they used.
So the byproduct of how you got there is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter
not one bit
where the tree is, who the different names on the tree are, any of that stuff. It's absolutely irrelevant because it still had to make sense after you got the name. Okay, and the DNA that they got led back to Brian Kohberger. Then they went and took the trash out of the home of Brian Kohberger in Pennsylvania, and it turns out it was the father's DNA, and that was enough to get a warrant to swab Brian Kohberger's cheek. And then when they compared that 1-to-1 to the sample on the knife sheath, it was like something like 6 octillion to 1. I mean, it was
great. They've got him there twice that night driving around.
I've got the car. Maybe, I don't know if you saw my videos, but I did the one where there's this white Elantra driving around.
I saw it.
Parks at 408, and then it leaves at 20 at a high rate of speed. And
so he was out stargazing when 4 people were being slaughtered. Come on, guys. Nobody's that stupid.
So from 408 to 420, inside of that window, a knife sheath was left inside the house by the person driving the white Elantra that had Brian Kohberger's DNA on it. Wow.
I don't, there's got to be a money grab somewhere for these YouTubers to think that he's innocent. This has got to be about ratings because anybody with half a brain knows who did this.
It's edgy though, so you're going, ooh, and you know what it does? It allows you a lot more content because
back in the day, Gray, when a murderer got caught red-handed, they admitted to it. These sons of bitches today are all about publicity. They're wanting to put a trial on so they can be on TV. It terribly hurts the families. I think it's awful. I mean, at least our serial killers back in the day admitted to everything and admitted they did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, after, not all the time, like Ted Bundy didn't.
Well, Ted was an egocentric, but you got the Green River Killer, you got BTK, they all admitted it. I think, you got Herman, who probably won't even go to trial till next year now, since he's got this 7.
He's an idiot. Like, if he doesn't just come out and say, yeah, I did it.
They got 7 murders on him.
Yeah, it's that one's so obvious too. And I don't think that case is going to have the pro Rex Heuermann crowd.
Oh, no.
And I think it's more because he's sort of an ogre and he's older, whatever. I don't know, but like, we've got Brian Kohberger, man. He looks like a model. He
looks like a monster.
I know he looks
he's got the beadiest eyes I've ever seen. He is so guilty.
Yeah, he looks like a weirdo.
And Luigi, he won't be going to court till 2026. They don't see him going to court at all next year.
I lost a lot of subs when I said, hey, you guys, Luigi Mangione is not a hero. He's a psychopathic killer.
Nobody cares, Gray. They just want to believe he's some kind of fucking Robin Hood. Makes me sick.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy was just going to work doing his job. That's all he was doing.
Yep. Somebody's got to be the CEO of that company, right?
I mean, United Healthcare has had a bad rap for a long time. I mean, but Mangione, he wasn't even a client of United Healthcare. His family wasn't even a client of United. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even so that should have squashed the entire argument
Absolutely.
These people out there, they're like, oh, he's so great. He's just getting back at the company who screwed him over, and it turns out
They didn't screw him over. They had nothing to do with him.
right, nothing to do with it.
Many
So that's
people just stop and say, people are nuts. People are crazy.
yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
hey, people almost started what you said, that we got see Brooke jumped in there with the $2 and Viv Renate.
well, it's about time, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd give $10 tonight. Can't y'all just give him a damn dollar?
Hey, look, I don't
These are the same people on here every night, Gray, every single night, and they don't give you a dime.
well, a lot of them do that all the time, though. Like, I got people in here that are every single night are helping me out. It's just, I don't want anybody in here that can't I don't want anybody to give me anything that can't do it.
Well, we're not talking about not feeding your kids. We're talking about a dollar for all you rich pricks sitting there watching him every night and not giving you a dime.
Well, that's funny. That you sound like who's that? Victor. Remember Victor said something like that one time. Yeah, I don't. It's okay. You don't have to worry about it. I'll just be the one that's like, yeah.
I'm just tired of watching you struggle, to be honest about it.
Well, it does suck. It sucks to feel this way when I do the shows, knowing that, wow.
And you work hard. You're not just on here for an hour. You're on here 3 and 4 hours at a time covering this stuff.
And then I had to watch that 2.5 hours of that show to be able to talk about the things that they were watching.
Well, did you hear Mata compare this Allen case to Karen Reed? I just fell out of the chair. I'm like, it has nothing to do with the Karen Reed trial. Nothing. I couldn't even believe he was comparing the two.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Richard Allen is the only male that anybody saw on the trails between 1:30 and 3:30. That's it. That's the only guy. And he's the only person that even mentioned that he was there. Right? So it's like, and he just fits every, yes, it's weird that he's the one that said that, but that's so common, by the way.
He put himself there. Nobody put him there but him.
Yeah.
If he hadn't opened his mouth, he'd have never got caught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, here's the thing is, I think I said this the other day, but Libby's video that is what solved the case. And the reason it solved the case is because Richard Allen came forward because of the still frame in that video. And then it helped at trial placing him there. But the thing is he didn't come forward until that image came out, and that's why he came forward. That's what my opinion is. He would not have
scared. I'm sure it scared him to death.
Yeah. I think when he saw that, he goes, oh shit, they got me.
Absolutely.
And then he sat around for 5 years just going, why didn't they ever come back and ask me a question? Right?
Let me ask you, what do you think about this Karen Reed case? Because I have really no opinion. I really haven't been following it that close. But what the evidence I've heard is, I'm not so sure she's guilty.
Yeah, I think it's a case that I think egos got involved, and it's a case that never should have even made it anywhere near where it's at.
I mean, they totally ruined her life. Her life is trash.
There's no way that you can say, oh, it's first-degree murder.
There's no way. If she hit him by accident, there's no premeditation there at all.
Yeah, and I don't know how you can prove it wasn't an accident. That's the thing. So I don't know why the case ever made it to where it's at.
If they convict her, I'm going to be really just shaking my head because I just don't think they've got enough to even brought it to trial.
I don't know why they decided to do it a second time. It was already a hung jury because you guys really kind of sucked. I'd like to know what the count was. Maybe that's why they did it again, because they pulled the jury and it was 11-1 guilty, and they were like, oh shit, let's do that.
No matter what they end up, no matter what the verdict is, her life is ruined. They have totally ruined her life, period. Her life will never be the same, no matter guilty or innocent.
Yeah, she's one of the types that can't be fully exonerated.
No.
Because it'll always be, well, I think she did. There'll always be those questions, right? It's not like one of those cases where the real killer is caught, completely absolving, and then everybody realizes they made a mistake, and that person can move on. There won't be any stigma on them because now they've been completely cleared. But this one is, she's found not guilty. It'll be, I don't know, there'll be those people out there that think, the ones that think she killed him, they'll never change their mind. Just like in this case.
Richard Allen case, yeah, I understand that.
The ones that don't think he did it, they think the Odinists did it because they were sold a bunch of crap by all these defense attorneys. They'll just never believe anything else.
Look, I've been following the Crystal Rogers case since the day she came up missing, relentlessly. Yeah. Are you going to cover that?
Yeah, we've covered it probably 10 times.
Well, that's before my time because he's going to court, I think, in March. And, I think Brooks, everybody thinks he's done it this whole time, but they could never prove it.
Yeah, Brooks, it was so obvious. We've played the interrogation videos.
I've seen them all, him and his brother.
Yeah, Nick Houck. I think, it's interesting, too, because we've also covered the police officer, I forgot his name, that was killed on the roundabout. I think that might have been maybe Nick, too, but somebody knew.
Well, I think Nick shot her dad. I really believe that in my heart.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. Nick or, either one, but probably Nick because he's a shooter.
I don't think Brooks has the balls.
Yeah. What do you think about that phone call that was made by Nick to Brooke while he's in there? Do you think that was planned or?
No, I think Nick told him to shut the hell up, and that's why he lost his job.
Yeah, but it was just kind of weird how it sort of played out in there. There were some elements that seemed planned, and then some elements that didn't. But I thought Nick, in his. Well, I think it was two ones with him. Wasn't I can't remember. Yeah, it was two with him, right? And the one he did with the FBI.
There was two interviews with Nick. One with the FBI and one with the local police.
Yeah, the FBI was the shit. What was it? The polygraph guy, right? Yeah. I think it was polygraph guy. Nick destroyed that guy. I mean, I'm not a Nick fan, but that thing was so ludicrous. Nick is just sitting there going, "Yeah, that's not working." He tried this move at FBI. Now listen, Nick. The question of you doing it, we know that you did it, right? We just want to know why. Nick's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Man? It was like none of his little tricks worked. This FBI guy. By the time it was over, it was. I mean, to me, when I watch it, I think it's funny.
Well, you got to understand, Nick was a cop for years and years. Nick was not a stupid man at all.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, exactly. He knows what he's doing.
I mean, and Nick's not even in jail right now, and probably never will be.
Yeah, he probably did it correctly.
If they had evidence against Nick, they'd done arrested him a long time ago. If they had anything on him being an ex-cop.
I thought it was interesting, too, that when Brooks was being interviewed, he intentionally had that one, the other guy that's been arrested, call in, or he called him, and he knew that
Stephen, what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot his last name.
I can't think of it. Well, him and his son both, because I think him and his son put her car out there on the bypass on the interstate.
Yeah, I think they did almost all of the dirty work stuff, So, I think they might even be, do
you realize how many times they dug up his grandmother's farm looking for her body and they've not found it?
Yeah. Well, you'd think that maybe they could cut a deal with one of these two. I think the key person is Brooke and Nick. So you got to cut a deal with one of these other two to get the body found. Even both of them, give them 20 years or so. Yeah, because you always want to get the mastermind. You
want to recover the remains for the family and give them some closure.
Yeah, that's why you got to cut a deal with.
I mean, her mother has lost her daughter and her husband in all this. That woman has been through absolute hell. What was it? 3 years after Crystal came up missing, they shot her dad. I mean, how much can one
Yeah, well,
person
he's the
take?
one that all the this whole box of notes that he's been taking on investigating the
Dude,
house.
he was so close to finding out what really happened, and they shot him. And I
Yeah,
believe Nick shot him.
yeah, no, that whole thing is obvious. I was talking about a minute ago was that call that was made while, to one of those that guy Steve or whatever you called him. What the hell was his last name? I can't remember, but that was so crazy because it was a setup call. He knew that he was going to be called, and you could see
I do remember what you're talking
you
about.
could see the look on Brooks' face even when he
do remember that.
Hey, look, I mean, it was just so crazy. And then it turns out that all was that, because I think that was even in the probable cause document.
Well, they've got some kind of evidence that nobody's heard. I can't wait to hear what they got on him, because they've never released the evidence they actually have on Brooks. Without having a body, I mean, you just don't find cases very often where they arrest somebody without a body. It happens, but not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. I want to see if this links back to Nick. I will be so surprised if this links back to Nick and one of them gives Nick up on a silver platter to get out of trouble.
Well, what do you think about the? Here, let me go to this thing. Hold on a second. Crystal.
I think it's in March is when the court date is.
Now, let me see if I can do the. Oh yeah, at the present. Share screen, and then I can do the entire screen. Yeah, right there. This one. And then I think I can. Yeah, like that. So the thing that was one of the interesting elements is that other killing, which Jason Ellis right here.
Well, somebody was waiting on I mean, it could have been Nick. My money's on Nick.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what he knew? But what's interesting is that you had to have two people here. One was a lookout,
and one up there with the gun.
Oh, he's coming, because they knew what time he was always driving home, right?
Well, they put the limbs in the road to stop him so he'd get out of the car, and they shot him. Somebody had to tell him he was coming.
Yeah. Well, that's why you need to look out, because you can't put the sticks down too early or another car would stop.
Exactly.
So you had to know exactly when they were coming around. You threw the sticks down, and then it was an ambush. So there was.
Dude, would it not be crazy if Nick and Brooks both did that together?
No, it'd be amazing if they could prove that.
I don't think they ever will unless they get a confession.
Yeah.
I think Nick's covering for Brooks, and I think Brooks covering for Nick. And I think the only two that's going to tell the truth is those other two boys in jail.
Yeah, well, I think you got to get cut a deal with some of those guys.
They're going to have to. I mean, if they want the truth and they want to find her remains, I think both those boys in jail know exactly where she's buried, and it's on his grandmother's farm. But that's a big-ass farm. They've dug holes all over it and can't find her.
You think they would have found it by now. I wonder if they moved it at some point over the years. Remember when they were looking under those homes they built and they found something of interest, and they told the mother that they just never.
I remember that, but it never went any further.
Well, it could have. We just don't know what that item was. It might have led to something else later.
That may be the evidence they have against Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
But how they could arrest him and not arrest Nick, because they've got Nick selling the rifle that supposedly killed her dad. You heard about that, right?
Which one? Nick supposedly had that, right?
Yes. And they think that rifle, and you've never heard.
He tried to sell it on. There was some kind of. He tried to sell it somewhere online, right?
Yes, but you've not heard any more about it. I mean, I've not heard another word about that gun, where it's at, who bought it. but Nick's not arrested yet. So it's going to be eye opening. I can't wait to see the evidence. I haven't seen the probable cause affidavit or none of that. So who knows?
Yeah, I'd like to get.
Can you get that?
It's going to be I think I might have that. I might be able to get it. Has that been televised? Is that going to be televised?
No, not that I know of. I mean, as many people in Bardstown that have waited on answers for this, I mean, we're not talking about Fran Gull here. We're talking about a whole different ball game. I think it will be televised. Lawyer Lee is following it. She thinks it's going to be televised. She's coming down here in Kentucky to follow it. I think Mata might show his ass up down here. I can't see him not. If he's going to Delphi, he'll come to Bardstown.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I wish it sucks living in Oregon because all the stuff happens like in the Midwest.
I know it. You're so far away.
Yeah,
it's so expensive for you to come that far and stay in a hotel and all that. And a trial usually lasts at least a month. I was
gonna actually drive when I had it planned, drive out there, and then I had all the hotel days already paid for.
That's a long drive, Gray, from Oregon. A long drive. What is it, like 18 hours?
Oh, way more than that. It's like 20. Let's see, probably like almost 30. You know?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, close. It was something like that, like 27 or 30. I can't remember exactly. But I would drive like usually
take you 3 days to get here.
Usually. Yeah, no, it's kind of sucks. But
well, yeah, if you do 8 hours on the road, that's 3 days, man.
I think it was 10 each day.
Man, that's a long time to be on the road.
Drive 700 and right around like 750 miles a day. So you're looking at 75 miles an hour at 10 hours. But some states you can drive, the speed limit was 80.
Oh, really?
85. So you just go boom, go about 80, set it to lock it in at 85.
You can do 100 before they'll give you a ticket. So,
so I do like 87 on cruise control, which is ludicrous, really. But man, I'm just like, yeah, you drive for like 4 hours and you went places. Like,
I bet.
A lot of miles, 400 miles almost in 4 hours.
Well, are you close to the goal at all?
Nah, not really. I mean, I'm about right now we're at 117. Usually goal is like, the minimum one was 200. And then when I would give away the 5 memberships, it would be 250. And then I'd give away 5 memberships. So it's okay. No, it's,
it's better than it was when you first started.
Maybe we'll pick up in a while. Maybe it's just there's people doing stuff that normally
I'm telling you, there's so many people without power. We have tens of thousands still without power here in the Midwest. Evansville, Indiana has 60,000 people without power.
Yeah, the weather's snowing all over the place, right? Just like
no, we had an ice storm on top of the snow that just shut us down.
Isn't that weird? You have ice storms there and then a raging fire in LA.
And they're supposed to get 100-mile-an-hour winds in LA tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got a hold of one of our mods. She lives down there. 8675309. She didn't even know about it. She's been so busy doing other stuff. She's like, oh my God,
I mean, those fires are already raging, and with the winds coming in, it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
I feel for them. I've never lived through a wildfire. We don't have them here in the Midwest. We have ice storms.
We had an ice storm in Oregon when I was about 1970.
78?
Like 78. Yeah, I was going to say 78. Yeah.
The blizzard of 78. I remember that.
It was so the ice was like 1.5 inches thick on everything. So all it was, there was no snow. It was just this. It was actually beautiful looking. It was just like this clear, just glassy. Everything was covered with basically glass.
Shut y'all down for about 3 weeks, didn't it?
It was horrible, and it's just a lot of. there was people who died from electricity, like it would hit the ground and do stuff, and it was just really strange. And I remember people saying, "Hey, it's a new ice age," and then next, "Oh, it's global warming." Oh, it's
Well, we had the ice storm here in 2009, and we had so many people die from carbon monoxide poisoning because they didn't know that the generators couldn't be in the garage. And they were dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, I just bought this propane powered heater. I think, and you can use that inside. I think you just put it by the fireplace.
Be careful with that.
Apparently, it's made for having it inside. So.
Well, that's good because generators aren't. They're supposed to be outside the building because they give up. It's a gasoline engine.
Yeah.
So they give off so much CO2. My mom and dad had their generator going in the garage and their CO2 alarm went off, and they didn't realize that even though it was in the garage, it's coming in the damn house.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be outside to vent. I mean, my dad was dying with cancer at the time, so it was a terrible time for my family anyway. But yeah, I mean, they were lucky they survived it.
Yeah, I think you always have to have some sort of ventilation, but I don't think propane. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know that the one I bought is for, like, you can put it in an indoor area but I'll just put it right in front of the fireplace.
Right, so it'll have somewhere to go at least.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's cool because it heats up like, 1,200 square feet or something. That's pretty amazing.
Well, y'all aren't even having bad weather right now, are you?
No, maybe it's supposed to snow next week, but I don't know if you were. Last year it was crazy. Like I was literally we had ice and snow and lost our power on in the whole area. The power went out, but we had ours on, and then a little branch hit a wire, and it did the thing where it's like a fuse.
That was it. You were out.
Yeah, and so then we're on this side street, so we're last,
right?
Because they want to do bulk areas. So I'm sitting here, and I was by my wife had already went over to our kids' apartment, and I'm sitting in it. We had the wood outside, and I had burnt through all the wood in the living room, and I'm live streaming on my cell phone in the dark. I'm sitting there going, "Hey, everybody!"
I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen that.
And then what was crazy is right at the end, there was a light blinking on my street, and there they come. They were at the last minute with my last. There was like 4 or 5 days with no power, and then with my last logs on the fireplace, the lights of the power company came down the street and turned them back on. It was like,
I wonder if I can go back and find that. I would love to see that.
I'm sure you could. I think
I'm gonna go back through your stuff, and I would love to see you on a cell phone in the dark. Bless your heart.
It was pretty funny. Yeah.
You're pretty committed. I'll give you that, buddy. You are so committed to what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's on TV for 3 and 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
227 damn people watching. That was insane tonight. I'm thinking it's got to be because everybody in the Midwest are without power. Because I've never seen your number that low, and I've been watching you for 3 solid months.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks though, it's I don't know. It's just my videos. People say they don't even show up in their feeds, and nobody even knows I'm live.
I watched a little bit of the John Bonet case, but I think Patsy and John, I believe John Bonet died, and I believe they staged that whole thing. I hate to say that because Patsy's gone, but I believe she wrote the ransom note. I believe they were totally trying to cover that up to keep custody of the remaining child they had left in that house.
Yeah. The other thing, some of the things that are weird are like the Garrett knot so tight and looks kind of like, who made that? Was that?
That had to have been, I believe it was John. I believe they tried to stage it like a kidnapper came in and killed her. Who knows how she died? But I think they covered that up. I mean, Look, if my kid was missing, I would have found her downstairs in that closet, Gray. Come on. You would have too.
Well, that's a good point. We never really talked about that. Is why didn't the Ramseys look for their kid all the way through the house
Because they did it.
Before the cops even got there?
They put her in there.
Yeah, you'd think they would have been looking all around.
They put the suitcase up to the window. They tried to make it look like somebody came through that window. They fabricated the garrote from a paint handle, a brush handle. Come on. If somebody was going to go in to kill John Bonet, they would have had that stuff with them.
And then you have such an overkill, bash in the head.
And then, what's this about a stun gun? I don't believe that ever happened.
I don't believe the stun gun. Yeah.
I don't believe the stun gun ever happened. I believe those were marks from where she fell. I don't believe a stun gun was ever used. I believe Patsy and John covered this up from the beginning. And I believe the police ended up, years later after Patsy died, they said they had nothing to do with it. I don't believe that. There's nobody else. Who else is there?
Yeah,
unless it was the kid. Unless he accidentally killed her. Who else?
Night is like we were talking about last night. Is why would you have three? You write a note, and you don't live there. Why wouldn't you just leave it on the pad? You just write the note, put it on the pad, and leave it on the steps. Instead, you rip it out. Why would you do that if you don't live there? Like if you live there,
they would have had the note already with them.
Right, you'd have it with you already. But that's why it was written in the. So it was written inside the house. A killer who came in to do that would have just left, they just would have left the notebook there with the note written on it. Right?
If it was a kidnapper, Gray, they would have brought the damn note with them to leave it.
But let's just say, even if they got there and they decided to write it, they just would have left the pad and the note on it on the steps.
Absolutely.
Now, if you wrote it yourself in the house, you're separating it. Ooh, the killer would have left the note, so you rip it out and you leave it there, and then the rest of the notebook you put somewhere else.
Look, the note was telling them to get plenty of rest. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Give me a fucking break. Mm-hmm. That's the craziest shit I have ever heard. That any kind of kidnapper or murderer would tell them to get a good night's rest because tomorrow's going to be a busy day. That's just insanity. Patsy Ramsey wrote that letter. I know it in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, and the person who wrote it had to know about the $118,000.
Absolutely, and that was his bonus check for that year. She knew it to the dollar amount.
Right, so that's kind of bizarre that somebody would know that, right?
They are the killers.
So the note's really the biggest piece of evidence in the case. And the thing is, the note was written by the person who is either the killer or knows exactly who did the killing.
Patsy Ramsey wrote that note. Like you said in the Richard Allen case, Richard Allen is the killer. Patsy and John Ramsey are the killers, Gray.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I lean towards them, her writing it and everything like that, which would point to them. I don't have the same level of conviction because you can see other angles where.
I think the boy might have had something to do with it.
Right. It could be different things that went on, and you could come up with a plausible theory of an intruder, but
I can't see it.
Rick Allen's case doesn't have any of that because he's literally trapped in as being the guy in Libby's video. So that's why it's like.
I think after John Ramsey dies, they're going to come out and say they think the Ramseys did it after all, because there's nobody else unless it was the boy.
Yeah. Yeah, like the boy hits her over the head with something hard, and then the family
kills her accidentally, and they stage it. Now, what parents wouldn't do that? I mean, a lot of parents would do that.
So maybe she was still alive when she was garroted, right?
Not. They can't prove that to me. They haven't proved it to me.
What does it say on the autopsy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought she was still alive. I don't know. So that would be kind of interesting.
If she was strangled, and let's say the boy was playing around with her and strangled her and killed her. What I mean, strangulation is strangulation, whether it's by a hand or a garrote. I mean, it was really brilliant if John thought that up. You know what I'm saying? Because the garrote, they say, is the murder weapon. But you can't tell if she was strangled by a hand and that garrote was just put around her afterwards.
How about this one, though? Like, why wouldn't the parent, see, the parents, you would assume that law enforcement, right when they got to the house, would look through the entire house. That's what you would assume. They didn't do it because they're idiots, but you would assume that. So why didn't the parents take her body and put it somewhere far away where it wouldn't be found?
I think they freaked out.
But
I think they freaked the hell out.
Well, why didn't they write the suicide note and call 911 after they'd already taken Jean-Monet's body like 50 miles away, drive back, and then...
The only person that can answer that is John Ramsey and maybe the boy. Patsy's gone. She can't answer nothing.
All right.
I think John knows exactly what went on.
Yeah. You know what's weird is I actually downloaded this 3D model they have of the house, but I'm trying to get it to work in a different...
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's like a 3D model, and I'm hoping to get it where I can get inside and be moving around.
I loved your 3D model of the house, the Koberger. That was so cool. I mean, I felt like I was in it.
Yeah, we'll be using it.
That was cool. I mean, it was really cool going through that 3D model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do great work. I mean, when you look at the stuff you do, it's genius. Nobody else is doing what you're doing, Gray. I hope you know that. Nobody's doing what you're doing.
I think sometimes
you don't see Bob Mata with a 3D model of shit.
No.
To try to prove their case. But, and that's 90% of how you change my mind.
And they got 2,000 people watching and doing really well. And I'm over here with 200 people and struggle.
Well, look, when Richard Allen finally fesses up and says he did it and he's sorry, then you'll have all them sumbitches watching you.
I don't think so. They'll wait for the next conspiracy that they can jump on. They enjoy.
Berger did it. I don't think Karen Reed's guilty, and I can't wait for them to pin something on Nick. That's my 2 cents on all of it. And Reck Herman, he's just wasting everybody's time. They've connected him to 7 murders. 7. There's no way.
Rex Sherman's he's
done.
Toast. There's no
It's going to be a waste of time, a waste of money. It's going to put the victims' families through hell, his own family. I think he's awful. But he's been killing since 1995. He's
got a lot more than... I think he's got over, I bet you, 30.
Oh, he's got so many more they're not even connected him to yet. This next year, I wouldn't be surprised if it's upwards in the teens.
Well, he's definitely connected to every single body that's found. And there's the Asian male. There's like 2 other people on there.
There's the woman and the baby. They haven't even identified them. The woman and the baby. They still haven't even. And if it wasn't for Shannon Gilbert, we wouldn't even have him they wouldn't have even found him. Shannon Gilbert, bless her heart, was not a victim of his. But if it wasn't for her death, none of this would have never been uncovered.
Another sex worker who dies mysteriously isn't one of his victims, but it led to all the other victims.
Do you know her sister killed her mother right after this? Did you hear that?
I saw the body camera footage of that.
No kidding! I didn't even know there was footage of that.
They go over to the house and she's just sitting there going, that's sick. They didn't show the body on the ground because they blurred it out, but. She's literally nuts, like totally was seeing things and hearing voices. Like when this, the little fire alarm thing with a chirp, that little chirp sound you get from the smoke detector. She's like, "You hear that? You hear that? It's saying to kill." Like she was just freaking out, like just.
And
bizarre.
her sister was a big a big deal on trying to find her. I saw her sister on many documentaries looking for her sister, and she ended up snapping and killing her mother. What bizarre. How bizarre is all of it?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It has been so nice talking to you.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed every minute.
That was fun. You'll have to call in again sometime.
I will, Gray. You have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.
Let's just remember the settings we used, because that audio at first was difficult, but you nailed it. Now it sounds great.
I had the volume of the TV on. See, I watch you on TV, so I had to turn the volume of the TV off so the echo would stop. So I know how to do that.
That's it. That's all you got to do then. All right, cool. Well, thanks for calling in. Good
Thank you, Gray.
Thanks for the support to the channel too. Appreciate
No problem. I loved being here. You have a great night.
All right, you too. See you later. Bye bye. I don't know how do you do that? All right, go like that. All right, that was cool. But you see, guys, she was trying to get you guys to get us up to the goal, but it froze up again. There was no, she got a little bit support going in there, but how about that, you guys? One last wave for the night. Can we get somewhere? We're still only at like 55%. If not, it's okay. All right, so thanks. I guess the last people that are helping out there at the end were Sandy Shirley, Mike Fitzpatrick, Brooke Rose, Viv, Renate, Lisa Valenzuela, and Viv again. I already thanked everybody else prior to that. I appreciate it. And then also Vivian, Vicky, Lisa, and Gina on the Buy Me a Coffee. So what do you think I need to be doing, you guys, to because even during that nice phone call, you guys weren't really supporting the channel. So what is it that I need to be doing to try to get back on track with all of you guys? I don't know. Anything? Can you guys help me out there? I have no idea. Like she said, I was the only one telling people the truth in the Richard Allen case since, I'm not the only one. There's other people, but of the larger channels, the only one doing that. And yet, it was a struggle. Pretty weird, pretty weird. All right, guys, thanks for being here. See you later. And be safe out there. I guess we'll play it again. Jesus, you guys, come on. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person. Lisa Valenzuela. Crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get you on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Greg is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pub protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his spectre. With all respect, John, just remember I've a temple fucking check. I have no agenda. I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody. Talk to you.